may we know them. This is a virtual space for strong women to connect, to see, to be seen, to share their stories. My name is Megan Johnson. I'm the host of this podcast, this series. I'm a coach, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker. Really my favorite kind of magic is whenever people come together and share themselves, which is exactly what we're going to be doing here tonight. I'm super excited for you to meet my guest this evening. Britt Sulkin is, who she is for me is she's this light in the dark. Like anytime her presence is in the room, or just I know she's in this world, I feel a little better. She is a visionary. She is fun. She is sparkle. Britt, you are literally like a warm cup of coffee for me. It's like, you'll find out probably that Britt and I both really love coffee, so it's gonna be perfect.
No higher compliment could have been given just now.
She's also an ontological coach. She's just, such a stellar human being. Tonight, she's going to be sharing with us some of her brilliance and her experience around being authentically herself. And Britt, I'll let you share a little bit about your background, because I know you've got a background in theater and, know a thing or two about putting on a show.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And so like how that can actually transfer into real life at times and all the things. So yeah, just thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I've been excited about this since we started talking about it. And I'm so excited for others we do have some people live here tonight hearing this. And for anyone catching the replay to really be in your presence. For anyone who is here, for anyone catching the replay, I really, really encourage you to be in this conversation with us, to have some paper nearby, write down what resonates with you, put it on a sticky note, change the background of your phone, whatever it is. Share with us in the comments of this video so that we can keep these kinds of conversations going. So with that, Britt, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about yourself, fill in some gaps that maybe I haven't shared, but really I'd love to hear what was going on for you in your life leading up to this point where you realized like, hey, I can actually just be me and be me everywhere.
I'll start with my background. So I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. And for anybody who doesn't know, which is most of us, D.C. is actually the second most theatrical city in the country after New York.
I didn't know that.
See, isn't that fun?
Writing things
Everyone
down.
Just thinks politics. We got shows. So I grew up with just a love of all things theater and show and performance. My first show was Annie. But for whatever reason, I was feeling very put off by it. I think if I look at it from my adult self, like I was probably totally jealous of all the little girls who were acting in it. And so I was like, whatever. Mm-hmm. The first show that I really resonated with, my mom is such a fan of the arts, and she took us to see Les Mis. I remember it was cold outside because I wore this like very like Lizzie McGuire-esque 2000s coat with like fur on the trim and like 17 different colors of like suede patches, and thought I was so cool. And I remember sitting in the audience and I was in the back, we were in the back row. We like got tickets at the last minute. Literally the wall was right behind me, and I was having this religious experience that I had never felt before. And I was sobbing and screaming and gasping and laughing. And I just remember thinking like something has so shifted for me. And so from then on, it was just this love affair with the world of theater and music. And I asked my mom for the Les Mis soundtrack that Christmas. And when we were done opening our presents, I made everybody sit in the family room and listen to it from start to finish. It's a really long show. So
I was just thinking, if you don't know Les Mis, go learn about it and then you'll understand. Yeah.
You can see my parents have a lot of patience. So I kind of moved forward in my life at that point with the idea that that's what I was going to do, and that's where I put all my time and energy as a kid. I always loved school. So often I hear artists say like, I hated school, but I went for the theater. I know I was a nerd all the way around. And that I was just gonna be a Broadway star. That was my dream. Didn't want to go to college, wanted to go straight to New York, LA, wherever. My parents said, please go. Brittany, we love you and we think you're so cute. But you do realize if you get in a car accident or, you know, something happens where you're no longer marketable.
Yeah.
Or you physically can't do it, you need skills that don't involve getting in the spotlight and a belting face. So I relented. I applied to one school and said, if I get in, I'll go. I got in.
Mm-hmm.
Kept my promise. And then again, my parents in their infinite wisdom said, please don't major in theater. And if you do, you have to double major because that's not going to be marketable to a lot of people. My parents are very practical. My mom is a nurse. My dad was a toxicologist. So if you've seen CSI, he did that all day.
Yeah. Different, very different than theater.
Yeah, very science-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it and I thought, well, a psychology degree will really help me, right? Because like as an actor, and yeah, I was really this dramatic as a kid. As an actor, I need to understand how people are thinking, their motivations. Yes, I will discover the brain. And then it turns out I just fell in love with psychology too. Mm-hmm. It's so cool. I could go on 700 nerdy rants about neuroscience and development and how the brain works. I was talking to my mom earlier today about the temporal lobe. So discover this other love. Mm-hmm. Still though, very much convinced. I'm gonna do art. I'm just gonna do art. That's gonna be my thing, and I'll just have this really, I guess, pretentious degree to go with my theater. And then when I was in college pursuing my degree, my dad was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. It feels like an understatement to say that my world stopped.
Yeah.
Because it did.
Mm-hmm.
And that in no way can cover it. And I think anybody who's been through that experience of just hearing that someone you love, there's nothing you can do for them. I still haven't found the words how to explain it yet. But I think anybody who's been through that can relate. And so.
Yeah, my experience, it's almost paralyzing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I'd get up and look in the mirror and be like staring at myself and wondering like, am I real? Is this real?
Right. Can a world like this exist without this person being?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so my, rapid, dogged approach to like being a theater artist took second place to being with my family and taking care of my dad, and just I didn't know how to plan for the future anymore because there were no guarantees. It was like we're living moment to moment, scan to scan. And I wouldn't trade putting a pause on anything for the world. I'm so glad I was there every moment I was. But 4 years later, when my dad passed, it left me very lost. Like, I had this huge goal. I put it down a little bit. I was still working in the arts. I was still working as a professional actor. I graduated. I got my degree, all that stuff. But again, the world, it stopped once and then it stopped again. And I thought, what the hell am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to give up the arts, but I was an actor and I was bartending. That's my life. And it was great, but it felt really empty. And my dad was someone who had just such gravitas, and he had such an impact everywhere he went. And I remember thinking, like, damn, I want to do that. I want to be that person. Early on in my dad's diagnosis, he said to my mom, you know, I did everything I wanted to do, and this is okay. And I was like, well, shit, how many people can say that? Like, I want to say that.
Yeah.
Whew. And so wandering around in like a soup of who am I, what is life, what are we doing, complicated grief. I mean, that's
all of it.
There's no words. There's no words because that's what it is. Dealing with the fallout of adjusting again to a new normal. And I remembered I had this friend I met in theater, Laura Westman. You may know her.
Yeah, I know that name. Mm-hmm.
She is this little spitfire of a woman. She is so funny. She's magic. She's like a magic little pixie elf human being. She just walks into a room and you're like, I know you have magic dust in your pocket. Like, just pull it out and like make me fly or something. I'd had a conversation with her about life coaching, and I thought, well, that might be a nice way to use my degree and help people. She said, you need to talk to my friend Michelle. I got on the phone with her. And we had this weird conversation where Michelle was like, so what's going on in your life? And I was like, well, I just lost my dad to brain cancer. And she was like, oh, I did that with my mom. And I was like, what? And it's not that she seemed happy, it's just that she seemed fulfilled. I felt like maybe this is something I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked it out and then I did it.
Just like
that. Was that simple?
Yeah,
was
just
that
easy.
I signed, I mean, as soon as I sat in on the program, and listened to the conversations being had. And I think very much conversations like this, there's no bullshit. It's not perfect. It's just so real.
About real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's the room I have to be in. And I signed up I was planning a wedding. And as soon as I had the ring on my finger, I was like, I'm in, sign me up. And that's where Michelle again, really helped me along with everybody else to unlearn a lot of performance. I have a lot of skills as an actor. I know how to project. I can be funny on command. I can cry on command. I can write. And I was taking all of those skills and putting them in this room full of people, just like constantly being in this audition mode. Like, hello, it's so good to be here. Insert funny joke. So anyway, and that was not the space for that. And so it was a year of getting called out. Hey, what do you actually want to say? Hey, what's behind that? Hey, you don't need to protect me with your joke. And I remember the first day I had a panic attack because I got called out for performing. I don't know if it was a real panic. It wasn't clinically a panic attack, but I got really panicky. And I had to sit down because the room was spinning. Mm-hmm. And Michelle said to me, she said, you know, one day you're going to be able to use a performance on purpose. And I remember thinking, it is my purpose. How am I ever going to use it on purpose? And I'm finally on the other end of that going, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I love kind of what you're pointing to here is you had this automatic, right?
Oh,
like putting on the performance as a way of, and I bet you did it without even realizing it too. Like, sure. All of us, we do things subconsciously just to survive in the world. I mean, and I think of of situations and conversations with my family growing up. Like my dad was a pretty angry person, and the ways that we just learned to do things to tiptoe around that, like the things I'd say to my brothers, like, hey, you know, come here, take a moment with me, calm down, don't snap, because we know what'll, you know, all those automatic ways we learn to be.
I hear caretaking for you.
Yeah, you know me. Yep. And yeah, it sounds like you had this moment where you not only were you able to realize that you were doing it automatically, but you were able to take it out, but then put it back in on purpose, not have it be just this natural thing that you do, but an intentional thing that you do.
Yeah. Which is, I think, you know, even as an actor, that's really the skill you want.
Yeah.
To have it as a tool, not as like, this is all I
Yeah. Yeah. Once you had this aha around this, right? Like oh, I see that. Tell me a little bit about the process of I guess reworking that or working this muscle in a new way. Because I mean, I would love if you could tell me and like that it was just a flip of the switch. Like for all things in my life, I wish it was just fixed, better, all the things, you know, and it never is. And I'm venturing to guess it wasn't like that for you either.
No.
So share a little bit about the process of undoing that and then putting those pieces back in the way you wanted to.
I mean, what jumps out at me first when you say that is having support, is having a group of people to lovingly give support and to lovingly demand that I just show up as me. I'm thinking of sitting at any table, because I remember asking even my husband to do this with me and having conversations with my friends outside of this coach training program, saying I'm trying to be more authentic. I'm trying not to put on a show. But the image that comes to mind is our friend Kevin Kukar. I just remember sitting across the table from him, and anytime a little bit of bullshit would come out of my mouth, I just see him sitting there, tilting his head, looking at me, and then giving me one of these. And I'm like, oh man, I did it again.
Busted. Yeah. Busted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having people in your corner who will see that.
Yeah.
Call you out on that.
And having people in your life who, like, as a recovering people pleaser, I know, Megan, even if you say to me, hey, Britt, can you call me out when I do this? It's still going to be scary for me to call you out. Mm-hmm. So having people who are willing to step in front of that fear or anything that may be in the way and do it anyway, because they're more committed to supporting you than they are to keeping you happy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that has been so important. I think my husband is really a shining example of that. And I always bite back every time he's like, hey, what you said was kind of rude, and I think you said it because you're feeling a little uncomfortable. He's the first person to say that. I think you feel a little insecure and you're being a little sassy right now. And he never does it in front of people. It's always quiet. He pulls me aside. And at first I'm always like, well, you're just a big fat jerk face. And you're just upset because you haven't eaten in 3 hours. And then like the day goes by and I'm like, oh, he was totally right. Okay, I can hear that from a place of love now. And now my awareness of what's happening is deeper. So having people, a support system to help me build awareness when I don't see it, integral. And then the next biggest thing for me was journaling. Every single day. I would write down all of the noise in my head. And I would write down, what did that mean? What was I afraid that it meant? But I would write down what the mean voice in my head was saying. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I would pause, get it all out. And then I would say, if there was a voice in my head that only said loving things, how would it respond? And being able to process that every single day, slowly but surely, meant that the thoughts that I woke up first with were more likely to be, hey, just do your best today. Because in unpacking that performance, it was like, we don't do things for no reason. Like, why am I doing this?
Sure.
And it was, I want to be liked. I want to make people feel comfortable. I don't want to be boring. Heaven forbid I be boring. And just getting connected with the love in me that doesn't care if I'm boring, that knows it's not my responsibility to entertain other people unless they specifically bought a ticket and asked for it. The part of me that says, it's okay if not everybody likes you. Okay. Do you like you?
Yeah.
That's
starting with that question.
Yeah. And I didn't know. I didn't even know if I liked me.
Mm-hmm.
I do now. I like me. I'd hang out with me.
Well, so what did you find? Because I heard you say you had the awareness around like what the performance was for. You wanted people to like you, to think you were funny, to, you know, just want to be comfortable in your presence. And what did you find to be true as you started to drop the act and actually just be you with people?
I'm having like a visceral feeling and I'm trying to think of the words for it. Like, instead of realizing that I could placate people or like make them like for instance, like a big habit I had was like putting on a show and being funny and positive when something was really stressful, and trying to be the person that like makes it okay. Like, sorry you just got in a car accident, but like, ha ha ha, here's a joke. Was that the payback of like temporarily someone feeling a little bit better, or at least pretending they did, does in no way match the gift of like truly connecting with someone. There's nothing better. And it was like I was settling for these like cheap goods, like, because I didn't know. It's like the first time you buy yourself, I don't know if you have this experience. It reminds me of like I used to buy the cheap ice cream because, you know, I'm like thrifty, like whatever. And then the first time you splurge on that little like $7 pint, like I can't go back.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah. So you realize what was too good in terms of what you were missing out on for yourself.
Yeah. And for other people. You know, so much of people pleasing is in my experience like really manipulative.
Well, yeah, as you were saying, the word that was coming into my head was that you were being the chess master in every situation. Like assessing, oh, what does this need? Oh, here's a joke, or here's a fun voice, or here's a face.
Not actually to make the other person feel better, but to make me feel better because I was uncomfortable with their discomfort.
Someone rewind that and play that like 5 times. Yes. How we're showing up in any given situation, and the ways, and this is for me too, I'm putting myself on blast, like the ways I'll say I'm doing it for other people. It's totally for me. It's totally for me.
I caught myself doing that the other day. It's 2020. So the other day, you know, 5 months ago, 8 years ago, who knows?
Yeah.
I was with a friend we were on a phone call. He was expressing some anger at a mutual friend. And I was like, he's like, I'm just really upset. I feel really disrespected. I feel like he lied to me. And I'm sitting here going like, well, I'm sure he didn't mean it. I know he loves you. Have you guys had a conversation about this? And I stopped myself and I went, I am so sorry. I'm just really uncomfortable with your anger right now. Like, you just want to vent, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, I'll let you be with your anger. And he was like, thanks, I appreciate it.
What a great thing to realize. And I'm even thinking of, you know, for all of us, for anybody listening, listening to this, just the places where, because I notice this too, where I have to be really specific with loved ones who want to make me feel better, and say like, hey, I'm actually okay with being kind of pissed off right now, or kind of in a funk. Like because I trust that I actually need to feel this to get it out. Otherwise, I'm just going to like try to operate on top of it and then blow up whenever you ask me to pass you a napkin. Like, let me actually just be a little bit of a mess right now and choose it on purpose so that I'm not a mess by accident later and someone's feelings get hurt. Mm. And yeah, I find that sometimes like those closest to me just want to fix whatever it is that I'm feeling. And I'm like, no, I want to feel it. Like, I actually trust myself to feel it. And sometimes I notice when I have that conversation with people that now they're uncomfortable. I have to let them be there. I think that's the hardest part, is I have to let them be there and not push it down because I'm uncomfortable with their discomfort. Humans are fun.
I just want to pause. I'm sorry. My neighbor, for whatever reason, is building furniture right now.
Perfect.
Is that coming through? Because if it is, I'm going to go bounce and grab some headphones.
It is a little bit, and that's totally fine. Yeah. Listen, this is all about keeping it real here. So it's perfect. He's on brand. Thank you, neighbor.
Someone's getting some shelves, it sounds like.
That's so good. So good. So with that, Britt, thanks for sharing. And it sounds like at points there, and this, I always like to point this out so that we realize this is normal as humans, is that it's messy.
It's so messy.
It's messy. And I have it that the mess is actually where a lot of the magic lives. And you were talking about pixie dust that Laura probably has in her pocket. I bet she picked that up in some messy situations.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me. Okay, so one of my clients blew my mind the other day. They shared with me this, I don't know if you've heard of this, it's about butterflies. And these researchers were studying butterflies, and they noticed that when they were ready to exit their cocoon, they were struggling.
Okay.
And so some of the researchers opened the cocoon and thought, oh, I'll just help out. Well, for the butterflies they opened the cocoon for, they couldn't fly. Yeah. Because the act of struggling was like a workout for their wings, and it actually like built up their stamina and their strength to actually allow them to fly. And I was like, that's so beautiful and metaphoric. But that's what that reminded me of, and I just thought that was such a fun little story.
Yeah. What just occurred to me was when you realized, Britt, that you were putting on, the performance was automatic, and you were taking it out. You were looking to take it out more. That there was actually this space where it wasn't like the performance was wrong, that you couldn't ever perform.
Yeah.
It was just the aha of, oh, but I can choose when I do it.
Yes. I think, I mean, this is so true for everyone. It's like we get over sort of like competent. Like, I'm over competent with this skill or this tool. Mm-hmm. But like, what's that saying? When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that's all I had. I just had performance. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so everything became a show or an audition. And it was realizing like, oh, not everything's an audition.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to learn that too with like my tendency to caretake others to make them feel better. As when I'm uncomfortable, I really struggled at first with like, as I was trying to really be aware of that and not do that so much. Then it created like a whole other space for me to learn that I can still caretake people, but I can do it from a place of love and not from a place of like something's uncomfortable over here. Like, it's not wrong, for me to want to do that for people. I don't have to stop doing that altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can do it when you actually have the energy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, I'm half empty, but I'm so uncomfortable. Let me do this for you. And now we're both extra drained.
Since the purpose of this space is for to give women a space to see and be seen, and the idea of may we know them, the strong women. Is there a strong woman in your space, and I'm sorry to ask you to pick one, maybe two, who you feel like we should know, or who's just been a beacon for you in this process? I know you've named a few, actually.
I will never, ever, ever, ever pass up a chance to sing the praises and just advertise the hell out of my best friend, Rebecca Walls. She is, I must be hormonal because I feel like I'm gonna cry just thinking about her. To me, she is brilliance and power and creation. She's younger than me, but I always tell her, like, I want to be you when I grow up. Like, you're just so cool. She's a directing fellow right now at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, at a program in which only 2 people get accepted to every year on a fall ride. I mean, she's brilliant. She is going to change the world of theater as we know it. If you are at all into the world of theater, like, you're gonna see her name. I can't sing her praises enough. She's brilliant, and she is so committed to creating space and art and opportunity for all types of people. She's so cool. I would, if I ever had to give a speech about her, I'd write it down, because otherwise I'm just like, oh, she's just so cool, I can't handle it. But Rebecca Walls, remember that name. You will see it again.
Britt, anything else, any final thing you want to say about anybody who finds themselves in this gooey place? We talked about the goo of the butterfly, who's maybe looking to, maybe suddenly has some awareness around, like, oh, why am I doing that thing? And is looking to shift. Any advice, anything you want to share?
There is, even when you're looking at shifting a habit, there's no shame in having built it. Part of shifting how you show up and what skills you want to use when is sort of releasing shame around how you have been doing it. On like a purely socially scientific level, shame doesn't work. It actually does not work. It's really powerful in certain social situations for very young children to teach us very specific lessons early on. But when we look at self-development, shaming ourselves into growing does not, will not, and has not ever worked. So I would say if you're finding yourself in that gooey place, the first thing to do so that you can move forward powerfully and with love would be to give yourself a big ass pat on the back. Like, wow, think of all the things that, whatever you're overusing. So for you, if it's caretaking, for me, if it's performing, like, look at how that helped you survive. Many ways. Look at what that gave you. I'm sure you've got a lot of skills attached to that. Be grateful for everything it's given you, and just let that shame go. It doesn't need to be there. Like, you did your best with the skills you had, and hey, now you're learning something new. You can do it with love.
Thank you.
I'm glad I resonated.
Yeah. Well, because I think about sometimes, so my experience, I came to doing this from teaching, and I know I taught for a handful of years and then I went into administration. I know like part of me getting promoted was because of this thing I do with caretaking, with saying yes to other people. It worked for me until it didn't. And that's okay. Like that doesn't mean something was wrong and that I need to like regret those, you know, that nearly a decade of my life. It's just, oh, things are different now.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're just growing. You just need more. It's like as we grow, we need more food because we're bigger. It's okay. You just need more.
Yeah. Oh, I hear so much compassion and love and like forgiveness in that. Yeah. Thank you for that. Well, what I'd like to do now is actually invite those who are here with us live, so exciting, to actually hop into this conversation. I'd love for you to share anything that just really landed for you and have some open dialogue and just share what stood out to you.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here with you all.
Yeah,
thank you for having this and for hosting us. It's so awesome to hear more about you, Britt and Megan. A couple things that you said, Britt, that interested me or like resonate with me. One was using your performance on purpose. I think sometimes like we have these natural traits and we can be told, you know, maybe they're problematic, but if we can think about it as a unique gift that we have and how we can further use that gift in support of helping others and furthering our purpose. I think that's just a really beautiful message to get across. And then the second thing was you said around, I think it was still performance related maybe, but the idea of unless they bought a ticket to the show, you know, like we don't need to do that. And I personally have struggled with that in the past where I would be like coaching my friends or just like telling them what they needed to do. And it wasn't until I started, you know, kind of coaching myself and going through my own professional development program. It was like, now that I get paid to help people, it's a different shift of like, I don't need to be going around helping everybody. And that was a really powerful thing for me. So just the concept of, you know, there's a time and a place for some of these ways that we help, and we don't need to throw our help on others who may not be ready to receive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear giving away free labor too.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I'm just thinking like energetically how exhausting.
Yes, that's exactly what I was
thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, because even though you're not charging, you're still doing something. You might think it's for free, but you're still spending something from yourself, the time, the energy.
But it's also, it was I think a worthiness component, because at that time I had always wanted to be kind of a coach, but didn't feel like that was my path, or didn't feel like I was good enough for that. And kind of was just doing it because I have that skill without doing it in a way that's actually helpful and has structure around it. And so now that I feel, you know, worthy and loving myself and recognize my own gifts, I don't have to go freely giving that stuff away to people who don't even want it to begin with. So
much gold in that.
Yeah. I think you also hit on something really cool, which is like honing your gifts and skills. Like just because something's a gift or a skill doesn't mean it couldn't benefit from some development.
Right.
And I love that. And like I see that through your process of going into that development, you've learned so much for you.
Right. 100%. Right. We have a concept. So I just graduated with my master's in organization development. So I'm a kind of a organization and career and life coach. But we have a concept of like self as instrument. So it's like, you have to know yourself so well in order to be able to help others in the cleanest way.
Oh,
anyway, I don't want to dominate more of the conversation, but I just thank you again for sharing and doing this, and I'm glad to be here with you all.
Yeah.
This is so, you know how these things happen, don't you? You know, where this is my issue right here. This is my issue. So thank you, Britt, for sharing so openly and honestly.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you. And all the people pleasing. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. Because, that's the protection, and and it's also just, I really do sort of love collaborate. I mean, I really do. I love collaborating. So, you know what I mean? That's why this is so fun to be here with you ladies, but not everybody likes to jump in. And so sometimes I think I feel like, okay, if I get you excited, then I'll wait my turn, and then you're going to get excited, and then I'll jump in later. But then it doesn't always work out, So I'm wearing this hat because I like to hide. And what's so funny is this new world with Zoom and everything has really hit me. So just in the last couple of months, I've been able to go on camera and feel comfortable. I had here's my sad story, which I've totally worked on and healed, so don't feel too bad. But I had a guy who stalked me, and it scared me to death. And I had a thing, like, men tended to a little bit with me when I was younger, and it just made me kind of go like this. And yet I have all this sort of feminine creativity stuff rising up, like we all do, right? And I'm getting this calling. My path has always been in human growth and development, and I'm certified hypnotherapist and all that stuff. I know. And I love, and I'm painting, and I'm, because that's the flow, right? The flow is really, really working now. And I just feel like my whole life, I have to tell you guys a funny story. I was working for this company, and I had this opportunity. Everyone was standing in a line, and I'm like, why are you guys in line? And they said, well, we're auditioning. And I said, okay, cool, I'll audition, So I got up there, and I got to the teleprompter, and I read it, and I just was happy. And my father used to do a bunch of stuff on television. And so I got the part, right? So then I went, ooh, I got the fucking part. Excuse my language, because I'm like,
you're totally fine.
What am I loving this?
So I go in there and I read it, and I practice just a couple times the night before, but I go in and I read it straight through, and it's a good segment. It was pretty long, and the guy says, have you ever done this before? And I said, no. He said, hold on. And he picks up the phone. He calls this other guy. He comes running down, and they practically get in front of the door. This is years ago, but they're like, you need to be on CNN. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And they give me the card. They're like, call us. And I said, I walked out the door and I ripped it up. See, that's what a wimp I've been. Like, to me, I was like, hell, not only no, but hell no, I'm not going to call and do this. And when they played the segment, it went across the country. It was a big company. I just sat there like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just felt like I just was not comfortable. So you guys you mean so much to me. I mean, it's just seeing you guys share so openly and drop the act, because somehow I got trapped in between these parts of myself where, I'm a very expressive person, but I'm locked in this sort of like fear. And I'm not even going to own that as present anymore. I was locked in this thing, and now I'm coming out, and I don't know where this is headed, but I'm in a couple coaching programs right now, and I'm just really looking forward to, as they say, we help the people, we all have our group, right? And there's this magnetism and this resonance, and you guys pulled me, this is, there's lots of things to do, but this was really important to me tonight. So anyway, I just want to thank you, and that's my kind of blah. I don't know, it's not all perfectly put together, but that's sort of how I got here.
It was perfect. Oh, absolutely perfect, because I mean, there is no perfect, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, thanks for showing. It's totally what the whole purpose of tonight was about, is just showing up authentically. Yeah, what a gift.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing yourself with us. Beautiful. Anyone else?
I just want to share, I was attracted to this series, Megan, from learning about both of you actually on Coaching 101. And if you all are not following that Facebook group, it's amazing. And it's just a really warm, welcoming place. So thank you for opening that up. There was something, Britt, that you posted early on in the Coaching 101 group that I'm going to read to this group, because is one of the things that has changed my life in the last several months. So you had posted a quote that said, "You're not stuck. You're just committed to certain patterns of behavior because they helped you in the past. Now these behaviors have become more harmful than helpful. The reason why you can't move forward is because you keep applying an old formula to a new level in your life. Change the formula to get a different result." And that has been riding with me as I'm shifting from 20 years of working 60 to 100-hour weeks, taking on too many jobs at my job, always being the hand raiser, serving others. And now I'm finally starting to take the opportunity to really look at myself and who I can be and what being even means, which is a really challenging concept. Selena and I have a lot of conversations where I say something and she says, "Okay, that's doing, what's being?" And so I'm learning a lot. I've learned a lot from both of you, even though I have never officially met you, and from the Coaching 101 group. And I'm just so thrilled to be becoming part of the program and just diving in. So thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I know, like, I'm like, what words do I say after that? I'm like in near tears, and like my heart is singing, and I'm sweating again. And
I'm going to be clear. I didn't write that. It was just a quote I posted. And if I could remember who said it, I would give them credit. But I think it was just something I found on the internet and thought, yeah, that resonates with me.
when I think
I'm so glad it resonated with you too.
I mean, even thinking about like how you just hear the things, you need to hear them when you hear them.
Yes.
You know, like just what a ripple effect.
The timing was perfect because you know, we so often just scroll past memes and quotes and that sort of thing, and that one just like hit me in the face. It was great.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Lauren. For anyone, so Selena actually I interviewed her in our last episode. So I'll connect with you all. The information about this Coaching 101 group, where we're just sharing about some of the fun work we do that we talked about tonight, the transformative, messy process. And I can share some previous episodes and conversations I've had with some amazing, amazing people.
I've watched them all.
Oh, oh, so good. Anyone else? Anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Thank you. I'm really I don't remember how I connected to like have this on my Facebook calendar tonight. I'm not a coach. I feel like a lot of you guys are, but my life has been transformed by life coaches the last few years. I'm in my business because the life coach basically gave me the idea, and I laughed and because I had a limiting belief that I could never be a business owner. And so I just wanted to say, like, a lot of what you both said tonight just resonated, because you do have these thoughts and beliefs that you have to be a certain way. But I've also come to realize that I have gifts that in the past were, you know, when you work for corporate America or something like that, you begin to believe that those traits that you have, you need to change them. And now I embrace them, and I know that they are gifts that I have. But the thing that resonated the most with me, with what you said, Brittany, is I've always been super needing to be loved by everyone, and everyone has to love me, and I could have very strong opinions on not liking people, but they still had to love me. So and then if there was somebody I just really disliked, I almost needed affirmation from other people that they disliked them as well, so it wasn't just me. So that was my big breakthrough, that I finally realized there are just some people that I am not for them and they are not for me, and it is okay. So, but I'm 46 and it's taken a long time to get to that point, but I'm a friend collector. I've collected friends over the years, and when they leave, as you know what I mean, like they are no longer want to be friends. It used to be very traumatizing. So I've had to kind of realize that there are, what is that saying? There's friends for a season or reason, I don't know, something like that.
Friends for a season, friends for a reason. I might have the rhyming words.
Yeah, but it's taken a while, but they all have resonated finally. So, but thank you guys, this was great.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you actually, so we're in the same networking group, DC Fempreneur, and you said you have a business, but okay, your business is super cool. So can you just take like a minute and tell everybody what you do? Because it's beyond cool.
Sure. So I have an event management company called Leave It to Me, and I help people with all their big life milestone events, anywhere from baby showers, gender reveal parties, divorce parties, green card parties, whatever you want. But I specialize in end of life events. So if for what you were saying, Brittany, that like got me so sad thinking about what it must have been like for you when you heard that about your dad. But my concierge service basically is from the moment you hear news like that your my friend called a year and a half ago telling me that her dad had been given a terminal diagnosis. And she told me, she said, he is such an amazing human that he was like, he's still alive, thank God. But so she hired me to be her, if you've ever seen what is it? Father of the Bride, the event planner guy, Franck.
Yes.
Franck. And so she said on the phone, I'm going to fall apart. We need to pre-plan everything. You're going to be my Franck. And I'm like, okay. So we found the venue, we planned everything, but just, it's amazing. He's still doing great. So, but yeah, so a little different, but I'm a coach in a way. Cause just to wrap it up, Facebook thinks I'm a coach. Facebook thinks I'm a funeral director. Mm-hmm. They have all sorts of ideas on what I am. It just cracks me up.
Yeah. And only you get to say what it is really on Facebook and other places, everywhere. Oh my goodness. This just warms my heart so much. So much. Thank you all for being here. I'm just so grateful for you. Britt, thank you for your heart and your vulnerability and your gosh, you're just an open book. And I want to read every single page and take notes and just keep it on my shelf as like a timeless classic. Thank you for all of your energy and yours and play and everyone. Just so happy to have you here. I'll make sure that you guys get a recording of this so that you can go back and watch it, because something maybe there was something that didn't really hit you today that might hit you next week, because that's how this work is sometimes. And thank you so much for being here. I'll make sure you also get all of Britt's information so you can follow her and keep up with what all the amazing things she's up to and creating in the world.
Or we could just be friends too,
All that. Yes. First that for sure. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much. Have a good night, and we will see you all soon.